Hello there. The Newark and District Parkinson Group has been supporting Parkinson sufferers in the Newark area for some time. Before coronavirus, we usually met on a Monday afternoon, which tended to be inconvenient for people in employment. Coronavirus has caused us to review our plans and activities. This video is the second of three aimed at employed people who are continuing to work after a Parkinson's diagnosis, but might need support, community, empathy, or advice. What's in a Name, as the second of our series, is the story of how our knowledge of Parkinson's has developed over time. It is an introduction to Parkinson's disease, part 2. Why is it called Parkinson's disease? You've probably guessed, it's a person's name. James Parkinson was born in Shoreditch, London, on the 11th of April, 1755. He was the eldest of 5 children, including a brother William and a sister Mary. He was a keen scholar, studying geology and paleontology, as well as medicine and apothecariology. This was a herbal version of the modern science of pharmacology. At the age of 29, he was registered and approved as a surgeon by the City of London. He was also a Fellow of the London Geological Society, which at the time was the foremost geological studies body in the entire world. He set up his medical practice at his home at 1 Hoxton Square, Shoreditch, and these premises burnt down shortly after his death in December 1824. He left behind a wife, Mary Dale, and 8 children. He was never to know the fame that awaited him as a physician. In his lifetime, his greatest, though modest, claim to fame was in paleontology, where 4 rather obscure fossils were named after him. But in 1817, this minor London physician and apothecary, with a practice at Shoreditch, finalized his observations on 3 of his patients and 3 men who were living in the area and were all suffering from paralysis agitans. Based on his observations, he wrote an essay on the shaking palsy. The physician was, of course, James Parkinson, but the condition was not yet known as Parkinson's disease. It was known as paralysis agitans, shaking palsy, or nodding paralysis. Paralysis agitans literally translates as the nodding paralysis, and it had been known for a very long time, but had never been properly understood. Indeed, it was even described in tomb hieroglyphics from ancient Egypt. Parkinson's analysis identified the main characteristics of the condition: arresting tremor, abnormal posture and gait, paralysis and diminished muscular strength, and Parkinson also noted the way that the disease progressed and degenerated over time. In France, Jean-Martin Charcot was a leading exponent of a new discipline of neurology, and between 1868 and 1881 he made further, more detailed studies of the shaking palsy, which he believed was a neurological condition. Among other matters, he introduced the term Bradykinesia. and it was Jean-Martin Charcot who championed the renaming of the disease in honour of James Parkinson. Hence, we now have Parkinson's disease. But this unfortunately came after Parkinson's death, and he never realized that up to a fifth of the entire world's population knew his name from the disease that was named after him. Although Jean-Martin Charcot took the study a long way forward in terms of symptom recognition and definition, he was not able to totally control the symptoms, though he could slow the progress of the deterioration. Surprisingly, the first-century physician Romano-Greek Galen had recommended a treatment from the mucuna plant, which was rich in L-dopa. The condition Galen treated must have been Parkinson's. It responds to L-dopa. Bradykinesia is literally the slow or diminished movement of body musculature. Trembling in the hands, arms, jaw, face, and legs. Stiffness in the arms and legs and trunk. Slowness of movement. Poor balance and coordination. A shuffling gait when walking. All of these can be described as bradykinesia symptoms. These symptoms may not be wholly apparent in the sufferer, as the condition develops differently in almost every case. In 1897, a student of Charcot proposed that Parkinson's disease may be caused by ischemic lesions. His name was Edouard Brissot. And in 1912, Dr. Frederick Louis described a pathological finding in affected brains. These became known as Lewy bodies. In 1919, Konstantin Tretiakov proposed that the substantia nigra was the main cerebral structure affected by Lewy lesions. But this was not widely accepted until it was positively confirmed by the further studies published by Rolf Hasse in 1938. In the 1950s, Arvid Carlsson identified dopamine as the main neurotransmitter deficient in Parkinson's disease cases. He was eventually awarded the Nobel Prize for this work. In 1994, Alice Lazzarini pinpointed a genetic component for Parkinson's disease. This development was based on a family of Italian origin where more than 400 family members were tracked, encompassing at least 5 generations of the family. 60 members of this family were found to have developed hereditary Parkinson's disease, though general PD is not an inherited condition. This led to serious investigations into the genetic makeup and potential gene deformation that might cause Parkinson's disease. Even with this research, there is no definite cause for Parkinson's, so there can be no specific cure. This also means there is presently no way of preventing Parkinson's disease from developing. Because the condition itself is notoriously difficult to diagnose in its early stages, and because there are no specific tests or indicator, and none of the symptoms from Parkinson's disease are unique to the PD condition, The symptoms have to be observed, and the more Parkinson symptoms that are observed, the more certain the PD diagnosis becomes. It's almost a matter of collecting a list of symptoms until a neurological specialist can diagnose Parkinson's disease with certainty. The clincher is usually that Parkinson's disease will respond to dopamine replacement therapy. To a large extent, the basic cause of Parkinson's has been known since Galen, and certainly since Carlson. It's caused by a deficiency of the chemical dopamine. This chemical helps connect neurons across the synaptic gap, so when it's missing, communications in the brain fail. But why does production of the chemical stop? And why do the neurotransmissions fail? This we still don't have an answer to. The condition is now accepted as a complex deterioration of the substantia nigra part of the brain. This is the part of the basal ganglia that produces the chemical dopamine. Parkinson's is a result of dopamine not being produced. The complex nature of this failure still makes diagnosis difficult, but treatment is improving. Sometimes the lesions called Lewy bodies can be detected early in the substantia nigra. This can lead to an early onset of LBD, that is to say, Lewy bodies dementia. This is unusual and detectable, but it can be difficult in coping. Robin Williams suffers from LBD. Research into Parkinsonism continues worldwide, and progress is being made continuously. But the certain cure, or even the certain treatment regime to stop its deterioration, remains elusive. And research needs finance. So there are regular opportunities to help raise money by working for the Parkinson's charities or making regular donations. Leading the campaign in Britain is Parkinson's UK. Parkinson's UK leads on UK education, focus and awareness of Parkinson's disease for researchers, therapists, clinicians, sufferers, carers and fundraisers. So experts are available for us as and when needed. Some of the most famous work to combat Parkinson's disease is done by the Michael J. Fox Foundation in the United States of America. Michael Fox was the star of many films, including the famous trilogy Back to the Future. And since his diagnosis, he has used his celebrity to promote the work of the foundation. There are other famous people who have been, or still are, Parkinson's disease sufferers. The list is quite impressive. Pope John Paul II, Billy Graham the Evangelist, Roger Bannister the 4-minute miler, John Betjeman the Poet Laureate, Muhammad Ali, heavyweight champion of the world, Basil d'Oliveira, Test and County Cricket, Salvador Dali, the famous artist. The singers Johnny Cash and Neil Diamond, and the actor Robin Williams, and also the actor from MASH, Alan Alda. The cartoonist Charles Peanuts Schulz. Actor Annan Eagle, Bob Hoskins, Vincent Price, and Michael Redgrave. Terry Thomas, and the politician Pierre Trudeau. Eugene McCarthy, the American senator. George Coulouris, the English actor. Jim Backus, the American actor. A.J.P. Taylor, the historian of renown. Paul Matthew Archer, the playwright, and Christopher McQuarrie, the film director. And perhaps a little more notorious than famous, 3 more people have also suffered from Parkinson's disease. They include Mao Zedong, General Franco, and Adolf Hitler. There are also examples of famous people who continue to work in quite high-pressured jobs whilst suffering from Parkinsonism. Janet Reno was America's first female Attorney General. She faced many serious problems, including finding the Unabomber and the 51-day siege of the Branch Davidians at Waco. She held the office for almost 8 years, and for 6 of those years she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She continued to serve in an active political career until her death in November of 2016. Michael Rich Clifford is an even more interesting story. He was a NASA astronaut who flew 3 space missions, the first in December of 1992, then one in April of 1994, and again in March of 1996. And this mission included a 6-hour spacewalk whilst docked on the Russian Mir space station. He then left NASA in January 1997 to join Boeing's Defense and Space Group as their flight operations manager. What's interesting about Rich Clifford, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease early in 1994. The shuttle commander for the 1994 mission knew about the diagnosis but kept it secret until after the mission. But Rich Clifford then went on to fly another space mission with a 6-hour spacewalk. Another senior American politician who continued high-pressured work after a PD diagnosis was John Hardy Isaacson, who served as a US Senator for Georgia from 2005 to 2019. During this time, Isaacson promoted bills on abortion, agriculture, gun law, healthcare, and immigration. But in 2015, he went public as a Parkinson's disease sufferer. But he did not retire on health grounds until December of 2019, and he still lives in Georgia today with his wife and family. Sir William Billy Connolly is a remarkably talented Scottish stand-up comedian who is also a successful playwright, actor, presenter, and painter. He is still a popular guest on many TV and radio chat shows, but since 2013, Connolly has been travelling and performing with the joint diagnosis of Parkinson's disease and prostate cancer. And at the time that this program is being made, he is still going strong. Supriya Kumar Paul Sinha, the Sinnerman, is an English comedian, broadcaster and quiz player who has been successful in University Challenge, Mastermind, Brain of Britain, and took the 11th place in the 2018 World Quizzing Championship. In 2011, he joined the quiz team of the ITV's programme The Chase, but for most of this time he has been diagnosed as a sufferer of Parkinson's disease. And Walter Max Ulyate Sisulu followed Nelson Mandela as Deputy President of the African National Congress. He had been in Southern African politics since 1941 and had been a key member of the ANC since 1952. Along with Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo, he was sentenced and served 26 years imprisonment on Robben Island. During this time, he was diagnosed with, but sparingly treated for, Parkinson's disease. On release, he was elected ANC Deputy President and continued in this role until South Africa's first democratic elections in 1994. There are other examples of famous people who continued to work in quite high-pressure jobs while suffering from Parkinsonism. Important and famous people who have continued to follow their career paths and continued to work with Parkinson's disease, Parkinsonism, and PD. But the most important person in this video is you. So let's review the story so far. Many people must suffer from Parkinson's disease before diagnosis because the symptoms develop slowly. There is no specific chemical, psychological, or medical test to diagnose Parkinson's disease. There is no single symptom that will definitely diagnose PD. Almost everyone displays symptoms in a different order and at different intensities. Some people don't ever display some of the symptoms at all. Everyone develops the symptoms slowly. Every symptom may indicate another condition. PD is a collection of symptoms, and not everyone is a collector. The main symptoms are described as bradykinesia. These are the muscular motor symptoms that include arresting tremor, rigidity, slowness of movement, falls and dizziness, freezing, muscular cramps and dystonia. The second distinct class is a longer list of non-motor symptoms which are a little more difficult to anticipate and explain. They include low blood pressure, bladder and bowel problems, restless leg syndrome, fatigue, sweating and skin dampness, sleep disorders, eating, swallowing and saliva control, speech and communication control, slurred speech, eye problems, staring eyes, foot care issues, mouth and dental issues, drooling, loss of taste and smell senses, memory and thinking problems, anxiety, actual fear, hallucination and delusions, depression, apathy, dementia, and general pain and comfort and discomfort, and this can be severe. In 15% of cases, there is an inherited tendency to children, but Parkinson is not an automatically inherited disease. Similarly, some environmental properties may encourage Parkinson's disease. Herbicides, pesticides, groundwater and well water contamination may all be contributors. Also, working with toxic chemicals and heavy metals generally. But as yet there is no smoking gun. But the search continues. So be careful about miracle cures. Since the time of Galen in the 1st century, there have been herbal and even homeopathic treatments that can relieve Parkinson's disease symptoms, but the risk is that you are paying a lot of money for an uncontrolled palliative. Stick with the plan. Trust the medics. Parkinson's can hurt, but life can still be lived to the full. So give your Parkinson's a chance. And make sure you take your treatments in the correct dose, on time, every time. Take regular exercise and keep up your social contacts as far as you are able in the middle of the coronavirus. Parkinson's UK is the official UK fundraising charity, and it applies these funds to research in the care, treatment and cure of Parkinson's. Most importantly, Parkinson's UK leads and coordinates the national research programme and ensures the national programme is integrated into the international effort. At the same time, Newark and District Parkinson's Group is a local affiliate group of Parkinson's UK, helping local people to understand the condition and cope better with its difficulties. Newark and District Parkinson's Group is entirely voluntary in its membership. It is made up of people with Parkinson's disease, carers for people with Parkinson's disease, friends of people with Parkinson's disease, and people who simply care. If you want further information or have any questions, contact Alex Keith at iCloud.com or John Miller at millway.net. So now we know a little more about what's in a name. And part 3 of our series, The Elephants in the Room, might help your colleagues and even your bosses to understand our condition better. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found it interesting, and goodbye now.